Hi, I'm Matt Holland at We Are Interactive, ready to test out the new football game I Am Player that we have recently launched on MSN.
Okay, so first off, talk us through when you first signed your first professional contract at West Ham. What was that like?
Well, there was about 12 of us waiting to find out whether we were going to be offered a contract or not in a dressing room. And one by one we sort of got called into the manager's office, which was Billy Bonds at the time at West Ham, and told yes or no whether you've secured a contract or not. And fortunately I was one of the ones that got selected. I think there was 6 out of the 12 that signed professional contracts at 17.
Let's talk about missing chances. What's your worst miss ever?
Well, I mean, I think there's always misses in your career that you sort of think, oh, perhaps I should have done a bit better with a chance or whatever. I never had a situation where I had an open goal or a clear opportunity where I missed. I've done that in training enough times where I'd hit the bar from 2 yards or put it wide or whatever, but not in an actual game. The moment I probably remember most for missing a chance that I regret in later life would have been the penalty in the World Cup. Playing Spain in the last 16, we'd probably outplayed them over the course of the 90 minutes and extra time, and probably deserved to go through. Didn't quite happen for us because in penalties, you know, we lost on penalties 3-2. I missed, Kevin Kilbane missed, and David Connolly missed. But I think that would be the moment where I sort of look back now and just wish I'd scored it. I took 8 penalties in my career, scored 7 and missed 1. The only one I missed was the biggest one, or the one that mattered most.
Sod's law, isn't it?
Unfortunately.
Can you remember your first professional goal?
Yeah, Kells game. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it against Orient, playing for Bournemouth on loan. I'd signed in January and I stayed till the end of the season. And I think my first goal came about 3 or 4 months into the spell. I think it was April, and I struck one from about the edge of the box. Decent strike, and then did a stupid celebration. I did a Lee Sharp celebration, sort of dancing around the corner flag. I don't know why. I suppose because probably as a kid I was a Man United fan and sort of followed United. I just remember doing that really and thinking afterwards, why have I done that celebration? But I guess, you know, your first goal, you don't really know how to celebrate.
You've got to learn somewhere.
Got to learn somehow.
What's your favourite memory playing for Ireland?
It's an easy one. Scoring in the World Cup. I mean, obviously making your debut was special, but we ended up getting knocked out of the European Championships because of it. On my debut we drew 1-1, and that meant we went into the playoffs and we eventually lost the playoff. So that was a difficult memory. So I was trying to forget that really, even though it was my debut. So I think scoring in the World Cup against Cameroon has to be the sort of the best memory in an Ireland shirt.
Is that the best memory overall as well?
I sort of put that alongside Wembley really. It's difficult to differentiate between the two. Obviously scoring in the World Cup's massive, but also lifting a trophy at Wembley was something I dreamt of as a young child. I think I actually dreamt probably of lifting an FA Cup up at Wembley rather than the playoff final, but I took it anyway.
Great day. I went to West Ham player final a couple of years ago and we won that.
I think if you're going to get promoted, then if you can guarantee going up through the playoffs, then it's a great way to go up.
Yeah.
But if you lose in the playoffs, it's a hard take.
Who was the best player you played with when you were playing for Ireland?
Well, I mean, I think you'd have to say Roy Keane. You know, he had obviously great attributes, great leader, a fantastic tackler, great presence, and probably throughout the time in Ireland he was the one player in our squad that would have got into most international sides around the world. So I'd probably say Roy Keane.
Okay, quite a broad question now. What's the hardest thing about being a footballer?
Hardest thing about being a footballer? Pre-season's pretty tough. I think, you know, 6 weeks of real hard graft. You know, starting very early in the morning, finishing late at night, 3 sessions a day, running. You know, that's hard. I think being injured throughout your career is tough when you do have periods when you're out the side. That's hard. And sadly I was relegated a couple of times from the Premier League, once with Ipswich and once with Charlton, and those moments are difficult as well, because it doesn't just affect you and your career, it affects so many people outside of the pitch as well, you know, off the field, staff, redundancies, people that, you know, you might have 300 staff one day and you're in the Premier League. If you're in the Championship, that gets halved. So that was hard as well.
On the other side, what's the best thing about being a footballer?
Well, I mean, through your football career, you have lots of highs and lows. You probably have more lows than you do highs. It's when the highs come along that they're the moments that you enjoy the most. I mean, as I say, scoring the World Cup, lift the trophy at Wembley, scoring goals, winning matches. They're the best things about being a footballer. Luckily as well, I mean, you do get a bit of spare time being a footballer as well, so you get to see your children growing up a bit more as well, seeing them play their matches and their school games and things like that as well, so that's pretty good.
So as you know, we've had a lot of different footballers and ex-footballers come and get involved in I AM PLAYR, and I was thinking earlier that if we put them all into a team, that should be quite good. Okay, and I'm trying to think what their roles would be. So I'm going to read out some names and I want you to tell me where you think they'd fit in. Okay, so these are people involved in I AM PLAYR. We've got Lee Dixon, Andy Townsend, Teddy Sheringham, Theo Walcott, Aaron Lennon, Gary McAllister, Jordan Henderson, Jamie Carragher, and of course now yourself. So out of that selection, who would be captain?
Who would be captain? Crikey. Well, a lot of those players that you mentioned there have been captains throughout their career. Andy Townsend, possibly. Andy Townsend, might go for him.
Who do you think is the best?
The best player?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't expect me to pick a best
player.
player.
I mean, they're all good.
They're all very good players.
You wouldn't have got involved if they weren't good. You've got to choose who's the best. They're all good, but who's the best?
Crikey.
You can't say yourself.
Teddy Sheringham.
Teddy Sheringham. Okay. And also, as I said, they're all very good players, but we need a keeper. Who's going to go in goal?
Me. I'll go in goal.
You're all right in goal?
Yeah, well, I've done it. I've played in goal. I played in goal twice as a professional. I did it once for West Ham reserves at Arsenal. The goalkeeper got sent off just before half time, Steve Banks, in a reserve game at Highbury. We ended up losing the game 2-1. I think it might have been 1-1 when he got sent off. So we're down to 10 men anyway, facing Arsenal's reserves, and they had a good side out as well at Highbury. And I made a couple of good saves in that, so that wasn't bad. Then I went in goal once in a professional game for Ipswich against Oxford. We won the game 5-2. Richard Wright got injured, went off for about 10-15 minutes to have stitches in a facial injury. So while he was off, I went in goal, let one in, came out to punch one with Kevin Francis, who's about 6'8", and now I wasn't even 6'8", jumping with a fist in the air. So I came out second best on that, conceded, came on a pitch, scored, and then gave away a penalty, all in the same game. So it was a bit of an eventful one, but we beat Oxford 5-2. So I'll go and go.